Hey Gurus, welcome back. Welcome back to another interesting session. Today we are going to explore a bit more about thick line penetration testing. I have developed one app that helps you to practice thick line pen testing. Before starting this video, I would like to thank all those who subscribe my channel. That's a great motivation. In fact, it's not a big number, but it's a great motivation stuff for me to create more videos on this platform. Actually, I have a huge plan. I'm planning to create more on PowerShell. After C Sharp, I'll be moving to PowerShell, Golang, Python, and Nimlang. So everything will be mostly on pen testing. How can we make use of these languages effectively while doing pen testing? So my motivation is just a click or touch away. So if you didn't subscribe till now, please do subscribe my channel, and that helps me a lot. So now let's come back to the thick line pen testing. I had developed one app. Before starting this one, I hope you know what is Stickline. If you don't know, it's nothing but a Windows desktop app that performs most of the its application functions on that wherever the application. Most of the logic will be there on the application where it resides, and it connects back to a DB server to fetch DB. DB info or do some operations on DB. So let's go back to what I had developed. Normally it comes with, today I have developed an application in C Sharp. So this application is nothing but a user management. It's not a real-time kind of application, but I try to manage how a real-time app works. Let me take you to my app so you'll get more idea on that. Today we'll be covering on how to analyze the GUI and how to review the config file, how to reverse the app, um, how to view the registry changes when the app is running, and yeah, then the code review. And we'll be yeah, on the code review we'll be exploring more. Let me take you to the app first. So this is the app. I'll run it for you. Yeah, as the name is, it's a broken app. It is IBA. It's just expanded as it's a broken app. So here it has a login form. Based on the login info that we supply, it logins to uh, different control panels. It has two different roles, administrator and user role. Normally, we don't have any control over here to decide whether it's an admin or user. But based on the backend database where the tables, it has columns that helps the app to decide whether the user is a normal user or an administrator. So when we normally log into this one, uh, the structure of this app is I have deployed my database here on my other Windows, and it runs on another virtual machine. It comes here and connects to this server here and fetches the data from here. The actual actual SQL server is running on another virtual machine. I will give a detailed note on my GitHub page for this app, how to install and how to configure this one. For the time being, I'm just taking you to directly to this app. Before that, let me check. Uh, Let me connect to the database. DBMS. I have used MS SQL Server on the backend. I will show you how to get this password from the config and other stuff soon. First, let us check. IBA is a DB name. I don't know how many of you have watched my previous video. I did develop another application. It's called AVT. It was like another vulnerable thick line, but I couldn't write this proper code for that. I couldn't do anything on that after I developed that app. and I couldn't do a proper video for that, in fact. Then I decided to do something more and just that looks like at least kind of real-time application. So I decided to do something from the scratch. Then I came up with this IBA. So here I have two tables. I mean, the second table actually I took it from the AVT. So I'm not using this table here. I'm just using only one. It's kind of a user management application. So there's only one table currently it has. And I'm just checking. Yeah, there's a user called Jim. Then let me take you to that Jim and the password. Here I have added this option SQL injection protection level to show you different options on how to write a vulnerable code and how to write a secure code. I will come to that later. Let me take you to the application first. It's just a normal app that helps you to when you are logging as a normal user, it helps you to add another user. So you have the permission to add another user, but you don't have the permission to add another user as administrator. Here you have the settings. Settings will help you to edit your own stuffs. Um, like if I want to add test new and the password, there is no password policy for this one. So I'm just giving one of my very easy password. If I add the user, it says, yeah, if everything goes fine, it says the user added successfully and it clears out everything. So if you want to see the whether it is working or not, we have to I have to close this. Actually, I didn't. There should be some kind of switching user. I didn't add that now. And in future, if somebody is going to take this app for practicing, I will work more on this one. I add more functions to this. For the time being, I'm just stopping it and I'm running it again. Fine. Now I'm going to log in as administrator and I'm just logging in. See here, when I'm logging as it says login as an administrator, here I have more permission, like I can delete users and I can view all the users. I'm just checking. Yeah, the last user I had it is just new. It is here, so everything was fine. This is the app. So now let's explore the app. Before doing that, actually, this app makes some registry changes. Let me delete that first, otherwise we will get confused. So normally when we get thick lined apps, if it's a .NET app, normally we'll have the actual binary file with a configuration file. So we can start working uh, either from, so this is an independent stuff that you get, exe with that dependencies, maybe some DLL files if it has some DLL files, or config file that it reads when it's going to run or perform some kind of functionalities inside the application. As an example, here uh, this config file, it's here. If you open it, if you want, if you can open it in another Visual Studio Code, and you can check it. Here it has a specific set of values inside the app settings, and it's using these stuffs. So from here, what we can do is when you're going to start assessing the application, we come to know that there is a here it's a DB server on this IP, and the DB name is IBA, and we got the DB user. But here, if you check the password, DB password is encoded here, and by seeing the padding, we can assume that it will be base 64. So we can try to decode this. If it's only encoded, then you will get back the actual what to say, decoded value, maybe a plain text. But normally, nobody is going to give you a direct base64 encoded value here. It may be something extra, like some kind of mm, encryptions. And here, if you when you see there's a key and initialization vector, so definitely this is not going to be a normal base64 encoded, but they might have used some kind of encryption to encrypt this password using this key and initialization vector. And because it's we here we found the key and initialization vector, we can assume that it will be AES 256 or AES encryption, but we don't know which kind of padding or the byte size they use inside the AES to reverse it. So here, at least what you can try is you can try the decoding of this one. Either you can make use of some decoders, or I have already developed on the app. AV Buster is my actually is my the most precious project I'm working on currently. This has some features. I added some extras here in this app. You can give you a value to decode. You can select decode to see the result. Here, if you see the result is not a plain text, that means actually it's not decoding to plain text and something else is there. So we just confirm that it's even though it's base64 encoded, but before encoding they have done something else on that string. So we have to find out what exactly happens on the string. So so best option for that is you have to reverse it. So for before reversing, there are some other tool set I can show you. So suppose when you are running this app, where is it? You are typing something. Okay, whatever it is, just type something. And so if you try to do a control X or control C, whatever it is, whatever operation here in this password box, it won't allow you to do that. So in this app, there is no features like remember me, but if in case, just imagine you have an app that has a remember me option and you have seen these values, and if you want to see the what is there on the actual text box, you have no option to do to cut or copy from here because it's by default it is blocked. So there's a tool that helps you to do this stuff. It's called WinSpy. WinSpy is a simple tool. It's very easy. It's a funny tool, in fact. Like it's very powerful. But in this case, it doesn't matter here. It's not so relevant here. But I'm just showing you if in case if you come on some kind of remember me on thick client applications, you can try this one. You just drag it on place and click on here. Uh, and just drag and select the control you want to see the value. I'm just dragging and selecting to view the value of the password field. So see here, this is the thing here I have typed is password. If you want to, I just don't get confused with the label. uh, this is new. So I changed that one. I'm just checking it again. See, this is new. This is the one I have typed here. So you can make use of this if there's a remember me option, and if you want to fetch the password, you can use this one. And yeah, there's another tool called Windows Detective or something. Yeah, that also helps you to do this. But I just showed you this. Normally, I don't use these kind of tools in real time. Uh, but if in case, if you have the remember me options and you don't have any provision to view the password, you can try this one. So now the important part. Yep. Now we have the password that we were talking about. Now we have the password here, but it's even though it's encoded, apart from the encoding, it has an encryption, and from the key and initialization vector, we can guess that it will be an AES encryption. So whatever it is, we should know how the encryption is implemented on that app. Then only we can do the decryption logic. And there's high possibility, and normally it will be that application itself has a decryption mechanism because uh, the only the decrypted string can be used to connect to the database. So what we can do is we have to reverse this. For reversing .NET apps, there are two applications that I use normally. There are a lot of others, but these two are very easy to use, and it's a portable version from .peak. You can download it from JetBrains. I will give all the links of these tools I'm using in this one on the description so you can try. So I'm just opening the .peak here. Uh, Maybe because of the portable version it's taking time. Come on. Yeah, it's one of the easiest one to use. Open and just give IBA. Yeah, I'm just select your app after selecting open, and when after you open this app, you can see this on the left side on the tree view, or you just go to the IBA app. So here it shows you the forms where it is. It will give you the actual code behind this one. So here this is a designer part of this form, so we are not interested on this one. So let us go to login form and check there is any kind of uh, stuffs going on there. It's Yeah, there's a button click here. On the button click, it's checking something. uh, it says it's checking the username and password fields, and if it's not MD, if it's MD, is saying some messages and going back. Yeah, here after supplying this function is getting executed, like verified user existence. Then you have to find, maybe here we can find out what exactly this function is doing. So here it is. When you are selecting this one, you can see uh, it highlights that function for you here when you're scrolling down. So here it is doing something, mm, but we are not seeing any kind of decryption logic here. So it's calling some other function. Yeah, here it is starting the connection manager. Maybe I'm assuming we have to, yeah, his connection string. And so it says this application is trying to connect to the DB server from here. So maybe this function will help you to help you to get something. Now it's getting data from the registry, so it's not there. There they are not using any SQL connections. So where it is using the SQL connection, here you can see on the function there SQL connection is passed as a reference. So here is a function that makes use of the connection, SQL connection. So where it is, that's another thing. Here we have different options. Actually, I have given these options here in this application just to show you in the end how to block the SQL injection possibilities using code. So just ignore this checking currently. I will explain this checking in the last part when we discuss the SQL injection stuff. Here, the get user details has is calling that function, and that may have something. Maybe there it is using that decryption logic. So, and it's an instance of one more thing. I have used a singleton design pattern for developing this app. So the instance will be a single instance for the manager classes. So there's a class uh, DB manager that has these functions, get user details. So if you scroll down here, it is a manager section, and on the manager it's called DB manager. So just opening the DB manager. Yeah, on the DB manager we have these functions, decryptions. So here, yeah, exactly, we are supplying the encrypted text and the key and what to say, the initialization vector. So we are using that to decrypt that. These two functions will help you to decrypt it. So here is another function called decrypt password. This function, in fact, taking the actual values from the configuration files, and yeah, they are converting uh, that to byte array from the base64 string that we see on the configuration file. Then it is passing that converted base64 values to the decrypted function. So if you want to see the plain text of this one, we have to implement this logic in another app. That's our next step. We have to implement this one in another app to decrypt the actual password. So for the time being, just to make it, to reduce the length of this video, I already created this app for you. So this is the app, and actually I just added one more functionality for this app. Uh, oh, let me check. Yeah, this is a function. So I just implemented the same functionality of decryption that what we just saw there. So this is the same logic. It's just decrypting the encrypted string using the same key size and padding, and the block size, everything is same. And it uses before converting, it just takes a string from the base64 encoded string, and it's just doing that. So I will show you how it works. So I'm just running this app and checking it. So currently we have, or to say, we have the key. I'm just giving the key, and you don't need to make a Windows form app like this. You can make use of console app, and you can supply this in directly on the code, and you can generate a console output. Doesn't matter. Um, this is a key and initialization vector, and this is the actual password that we need to decrypt. I want to decrypt this one and get the result. See, now we got the cracked password. We reversed the password, in fact. What we did was we went through the source code and find out we did find the way how they encrypted, and we implemented the logic in our own application to decrypt the password. And after that, we got the plain text password. So this is a finding of one of the findings that you can do when you are doing thick line pen testing. So now we know this is a password. Just keep it somewhere. So, and you can just go through the code and you just learn the code. Once if you another problem of this coding is that it is not obfuscated, and that's another stuff you have to recommend. Uh, that will make when you're reversing, it will make the reversing a bit more difficult when you're obfuscating something. So try to make use of some obfuscations in real time. So it will not be that much easier for reversing the code and find out the actual logic of some implementations. So now this is a way that we do normally. I will show you one more tool that will do the same functionality. It's called DNSPy. DNSPy is a kind of same kind of uh, yeah, actually I did open it before. So it's the same kind of stuff. You just find and open. Once if you open, it will come here and you can see it here. So after going through this session, you can just directly come to this session, this part. Here you can see what exactly it is. Just like .peak, you can have the same set of stuffs here. You have the same decrypt password logic and what's happening on the add user. You can see here in this app, I have used inline queries for inserting or adding users. So just the same stuff. I'm more convenient on using .peak because it shows you more flexible way of seeing everything. But this is another tool you can make use of. Definitely, this is really useful. I'm showing you an alternative way of doing stuff. So once if you know how to connect this, once if you got the password, now we have that DB server and the DB name and the DB user. So the next thing what we can do is just like I have connected, you can just uh, if you want you can disconnect this one and connect to this and get the password that we now we got the password. I think I copied it. Yeah, after decrypting we got the password. Yeah, that's it. You are connected to the DB server now. Now you can do whatever you want based on the permission of the current user that we got from the app. For the demo purpose, I just use the default SA user. So, and it has a full permission here. So you can do anything you want. But it may not be the same case in real time. You may have restricted users for the app, but at least you will have the read only. That's 100%. Normally read only plus, right? Because if the app is adding something or adding something to the DB, definitely you may have write permission, so you can do more stuff. You can think of more uh, way of uh, like think like a real attacker, what attacker can do on using the skill. So now we have the full exposure of this deep databases and the mm, logins and all the stored procedures. You can see what are inside here on the DB tables. Its table is open to you, so you can just if you are using SQL Server Management Studio for MS SQL to connect it, it's very easy to see the data. Just select the data and you can see all the passwords. And this is another problem this application is making. This application doesn't mm, save the password in a protected way. Normally it shouldn't be like this. It should data on DB, especially when you are keeping passwords kind of fields critical in sensitive data should not be in plain text. It should be uh, in a protective manner. Like you have to make use of hashes. hashes with some salted hashes is more secure. So anyway, it shouldn't be plain text. If it's plain text, this is a problem. Once if you get a password to connect to the DB server, you can see all the passwords and you can log into all these users and you can view or edit or changes based on the application permission. So that's what we do normally after getting it. Then yeah, we did the reverse app GUI analysis, then the registry changes. Yeah, for the registry changes, oh again, I forgot to mention one more stuff in the application. This application is writing the user details to the registry just to avoid uh, interaction with the DB server every time. So once if this app is you have run this app on some machine, the next time it won't connect to the DB directly. First it checks the registry, current user registry with the application name. If it has some data there, it fetches the information from there and gives you access to other part of the application. So currently this app, what I'm doing in this app is that, let me show you that login form. Here I'm checking. This is just for blank check. If some field is blank, then it says a message. For the verified user existence, it comes here. First it checks on the registry. Here you can see that it fetches the information from the registry, and if there is a registry key like IBA, it opens that IBA field and read the values from there. Uh, Normally, this application is writing username, password, email, and the eSubmit field to the registry. So if it's already once if you logged in as any kind of user, maybe administrator or normal user, it writes that stuff to the registry under the key IBA. So this checks for I mean this is doing the app is, if this not exist here first time the app is writing that to um, the registry. I will show you where it is. Let me here. Suppose if the user info is there on the registry, it doesn't call any DB connection. It just call out the registry stuff and logins to the app with this information. So if it's not there on the registry, it fetches the info from the DB. So don't worry about this check. Basically, this is just checking the user details, and if the user detail table has rows, that means the user password is there on the backend. So it takes the values from the DB table and writes the values to the registry. So how it works is like whenever you are doing it first time, it fetches the DB, connects to the DB and fetches the data from there and write that same data to the registry. So when you're going to log in next time and you are going to give the username and password as the same password, when you're giving the username and password, it goes to the registry first and checks whether this user is there in the registry or not. If it is there on the registry, it doesn't connect to the DB. It just fetches the data from the registry and helps you to log into the appropriate user control. So, uh, so this is happening. So I'm currently we just logged in 2 times, and it will be the last value will be. Oh no, we didn't. Okay, okay, we didn't run the application. Okay, it's good. Yeah, till now we didn't run the application. In fact, I did that in the just for showing the functionality. After that, I deleted the registry key. So now we have got the username and password of the DB server, and we connected to that, and we know we have seen till now we saw the DB details and we had access to the DB server. We saw the tables, everything. So now I'm going to run this app, and now we have all the info. I'm going to run as a normal user first. Jim crack. So before running uh, this app, what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch the registry details. What changes is going to make on the registry. For that, there is another tool set. It's a famous one, sitting down to suit. This has a really great bunch of tools that helps you to do a lot of other stuff. But here I'm going to use the proc monitor. This proc monitor will help you to, yeah, when you open this one, it asks you for or for a filter. So we have to filter that. For filtering, we need uh, the PID for this one. So the PID for this one is 12648. I'm going to filter it based on that. I'm going to add the PID, and that is 12648. I'm just removing this one. PID is 12648. I'm adding that, applying this one. And for the registry stars, uh, it is event class. Event class is registry. So whatever stuff this app is going to make on registry will come there here as a field on this process monitor. I just applied, I'm just doing this one. So I have given the username and password. I'm going to log in. Now we have the app is logged in, and now we have a lot of um, the, the worst part of this application is very process in intense, like it takes more memory and other stuff. So here it is. Here we have bunch of registry keys here. The main thing we are interested is uh, registry set values. So the best option here is just try with the string username that you tried, whether to whether there is any writing to registry of the username or not. And yeah, it's here. So there is a registry set value called to the uh, current user under the name of IBA, and inside the IBA, here is IBA, and there is a username field, and double click on that, you can see username is there. So it's not really the username, there are some other field like password. See, password is like this storage query with the set value of the password. Yeah, this is the set value of the password. So yeah, the application is writing this password. Here you can see the padding. After seeing the padding, it will be base 64 encoded. We can just confirm it. Here's our app. Uh, I'm just using it again. You can make it online. It's very easy. But I'm just already I have developed this app, so I can make use of this. Sorry, not encode, decode, get result. Yeah, this is the password. So basically, this app is writing the password to the registry in base64 and encoded form. So using the proc monitor, you can see what other changes this app is making while it is running. The important thing is you just give a filter with the PID and just give the event class as registry. Then you run the filter with this app. You can easily. The most interesting part of this app, it shows you lot of stuff. So it's easy if you try to search with the usernames or some other keywords and try to find out the registry set value. So it will be easy to find out what's happening when you are doing running this app and what this app is making changes on the registry. Yeah, that's from that side. Uh, yeah, as I said, if you are logging in this app as administrator, you have more privileges. Like you can delete users, edit other user details, and add user as administrator. So those kind of stuff will be available only in the administrator part. So I'm just leaving that to you that you can explore more on this app. You can try to break that functionality, try to do that from a normal user perspective, try to edit the app on after reversing or running it your side. You try to explore that. I'm just moving to the next session now, code review. For the code review part, again there is a good tool that it's a free tool that you can make use. It's called VCG. It's called Visual Code Grapper. And this tool is amazingly faster and it's really working well to find out uh, code issues. It's very easy to use. First, you set your language to ensure that C# is selected. Then you set your target file or directory. Here I'm going to give the directory of my code. And one more thing, normally this kind of application will, when it comes for assessment, if it's an internal um, white box test, you will get code to do a secure code review. So if that's the case, that I'm supposing that that's the case, I'm just selected my app folder here. I'm just going to do a full scan. It's faster. See, it identifies some potential SQL injection possibilities from the code. So we will see what it reported here. It says some kind of possible SQL injection, but here this tool, I don't see any issues with the statement that is reported here. But there is a problem in this one. Uh, Here the code is showing that prepared statement and other stuff. Actually, I have added this prepared statement and stored procedure to block SQL injection to show you how the SQL injection stuff works and how we can block it. Yeah, but this tool normally that false positive rate is low, but it's a static check. So yeah, just double check it before confirming anything that this kind of tools uh, gives you the results. So yeah, the last part, SQL injection. SQL injection, I will show you like here or no here. I'm going to run directly from my code. So I will upload both this decryption app and this IBA into my GitHub, so you can directly download that and do that. I will show you before going to that one. I will show you some more stuff. When you are setting up your SQL server, you can do it on the same machine. If you are going to run it on the same machine, both SQL server and the app. But if you're going to do that on the different machine, just ensure some of the settings. Uh, After you installing the SQL Server 2008 R2, Express edition, uh, it will come directly. This SQL Server configuration manager will come by default. So inside that, select the SQL Server network configuration and select that. After that, go to the protocols of SQL Express and double click on the TCP IP and go to the IP addresses and ensure that your IP, your machine's IP is selected and is active and enabled, and ensure the TCP port is given like this, and remove the zero from, normally a zero will be there, just remove it and apply that. And one more thing, uh, just enable this named pipes if you are using named pipes to get connected to this one, but ensure this is the most important part. If you don't enable this one, you will never get connected to this server if you are doing it on a different server. Even if you're not doing it on different server, I think you have to enable it for to get connected the app, but the connection, to enable the connection between this app and the SQL server. So anyway, I will give that as a note on that on my GitHub for this app. So now we are going to run the SQL injection part. What's happening while we are doing the SQL injection? And normally this kind of stuffs won't be there on the normal modern app. People are more, developers are more smarter. They definitely block this kind of problems. Here I'll show you. So if I give a wrong password using the injection protection level as a insecure inline query and trying to log in, it says invalid attempt. It says invalid attempt just because the username or password something was wrong. So, but now I'm going to try the SQL injection part. The SQL injection part normally start with the single code, because single code is mostly used on almost all the SQL queries to terminate a query. So after that, I'm going to give an or condition and an always true condition after that. 1 equal to 1 is an always true condition. Then I'm going to comment out this double hashes. Double hyphen is used for to mainly used to comment out all the sessions after the checking. Whatever comes after this double hyphen, the SQL DB server will consider it as a comment. So after that, I'm going to give any password, because if the application may check here if I don't give any password. Let me check. See missing fields. So just giving this one. I'm going to use the inline insecure inline query. I'm logging in. See, surprisingly, I have logged in as administrator. So what's happening here? Let us debug the application. Let me show you how to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat the same stuff. Single quote or always true condition, then some password. This is a login form, right? I'm going to put a breakpoint here. Yeah, let it be here. So I'm selecting here insecure inline query, and I'm clicking the login button. And yeah, when the login button actually calls, whenever you're clicking this button on the button click event, this verified user existence function is getting called there. And I'm going to if you're using the Visual Studio Community Edition, you can use the F10 key, keyboard to oh, that's my recording. Okay, I'm not able to use the key here because it's taking, my recorder is taking that. Okay, there's another button here, you can use it here. When you are doing that in your machine, you can try with the F10 keyword itself. I'm just going deeper, and I'm getting the connection manager, and after that, see here the text contains this value, and as per the application logic, it checks on the registry first, and the registry check is already over because there is no user like this on the registry. So it comes here, it has as per the application logic, now it goes to the DB server. So now we have to go to this function to check what's happening here. I'm just continuing this, and it comes here, and just because we have selected this insecure inline query, this is inline query that we use in this function, and it comes here. If you check here, this is a query is going to execute on the backend. So let me copy this. We are going to do the same thing. We are going to execute this query here in the backend, and yeah, to ensure that you are on the, if you have multiple DBs, just ensure you are using. Currently, I have opened it from IBA, so it will be executed on the IBA. Otherwise, you have to use the keyword use and like use IBA, whatever DB you are using. So here I'm going to run this query. What's going to happen in this query is it first check. The first check is going to be on the username field. This is a injected characters. So it's going to check on the DB whether there's a user like this, a null user. So let us see what happens when you're running this. See, it returns nothing. So it's a false statement. So just because it's returned nothing, and now we are adding one more stuff. This was our actual query. So I will show you what happens when there is no, if nothing is, I mean, if you omit this hyphens, this query is an error here because uh, we are not properly closing that single quote. So it definitely will be an error. It won't do any result back to us. So the effect of the double hyphen is here. It commented out everything after this one. So now this part returned a false result, and now uh, there is no user like this on the table, and this one is always a true statement. That means the where condition, well, this condition will become like false or true, and you know the result is always true. So it is going to be like where is always true. What's the effect of that? That is when you're executing this one, it gives you the entire table. So here is nothing but we are just doing this operation, and on the where condition, it's always returns a true after combining these check, null user check, and a null user check always return a false. But we are giving an or condition and gives another always true condition, so it always returns a true. So the result of this query will give you the entire table. So that's happening here, and we are getting that entire table, and after getting the table, uh, here I'm just checking whether the table has rows, and it has more than one row. Like the table count of the rows are greater than 0. That means normally there will be only one row that we expect, the exact row of the username and password. But here we just injected this stuff, and we got the uh, entire table rows. But again, what we do here inside the app is we are processing only one row. We are taking the first row from the result set. So unfortunately, as per this structure, the first row of the result has the admin row. So definitely when you are injecting SQL injection characters, and when you are trying to bypass it, it is going to be an admin user. It totally based upon how the table is aligned on the backend. If some other user is there on the top, uh, definitely it will be a normal user based on the privilege that based on that we get the privilege to log in. So it's simple, as simple as this. After checking this one, if we step into this app, it's just taking and processing the first value and writing that to the registry. Here, if you see that, the registry, I mean, it's writing the registry values as admin. So next time when you are trying to log in as admin, it won't connect to the DB and everything will be as usual. But here we injected some characters and we logged in as administrator. So that's happening here. So what should we do on a secure coding manner? There are different ways. One of the best ways is to avoid the inline queries. Suppose if you are forced to use the inline queries, I don't encourage you to use the inline queries. But if in case, I always advise to use the stored procedures. Stored procedures nothing but it's kind of user-defined functions, and I have already written a stored procedure here. Three are there, but this is the one for this is the one that uh, check the user existence using the stored procedure. Here, yeah, I will show you the difference while debugging what happens. Either you can make use of stored procedure or you can make prepared statements. Okay, next we'll debug this one and I will show you what happens when you're using prepared statements. So I'm injecting the same query here and I'm doing something for the password. Instead of the insecure inline query, I'm going to select the prepared statement. I'm clicking the login and I'm just continuing this one. It reaches here with the prepared statement. Now the username, it has this one and the password is something, and go to the next statement. See here, if you select this statement, just because we have used that inline, even though we are using the inline query, we have specified the parameter names here. So when it's going to be to the when it's going to the backend, instead of considering this as a query that we executed here, this will be considering as username as this one, this entire stuff. See, it's going to consider the entire username as this one. Like this entire string is going to be considered as a username. So there's no possibility of breaking using that single quote and the commenting session. It will be considered as a single string. So it won't give you the result. It is going to check that whether any user is existing on the backend with the name of a single quote or space or 1 = 1 hyphen hyphen. That means it's going to check like a normal user, like admin, just like admin or other users exist on the DB. Is going to check whether there is a user called single quote or 1 = 1 hyphen hyphen exist on the backend. It won't generate a query like the previous one that we have created. using when we use that inline insecure query, it created a query like this. But when you're going to use that prepared statement, it's going to change that. It's going to consider the injected string as a username. So it will never give you the result back. So I'm going to continue this one. See, it says invalid attempt because we have used a prepared statement. So the same thing is going to happen when we are going to use that store procedure. But I do recommend using store procedures rather than the prepared statement because it gives you the first thing is it gives you a centralized way of managing stuff. You don't need to suppose if you have multiple places where you have to write this query, then you have to write this query every time on all the prepared statement functions on the code. But if you have a centralized store procedure, it will block this kind of injection attacks, and you can edit and modify it on a single place, and you can change the logic here according to your need. It's in a centralized place and you can make changes, and it's more secure than using inline queries and prepared statements. So let us try to do the same thing here. Here is that uh, store procedure option. So I'm going to do admin, also not admin, injections. Single code injection 1 equal to 1 to some password, store procedure. Yeah, some breakpoint here on the procedure. Yep, it comes here, and once it comes here, oh no, it didn't reach there. Yeah, see here. Here the same thing is going to happen. It's going to consider this. This stored procedure has two parameters. Stored procedure is nothing but, as I said, just like a function that we define here. Just like this function, we are doing the same stuff on the backend, DB side. So it accepts this stored procedure accepts two parameters, the username and password. So the same thing is going to happen here. Instead of injecting this as a part of the actual query, is going to set this as a parameter to the function. So it's going to check whether there's a user with the name of single quote over 1 equal to 1 is existing on the backend. And if that exists, it will return a true. Otherwise, it will always return a false. So you will never get into you will never get into the actual DB, or you can't bypass that in normal way, in a normal attempt. Yeah, it gives you the invalid attempt. So now just confirm that it works well with the normal one. So if it wants to be there on um, the DB check first, when we try to do the injection, actually it return the admin username and password, I think. Yeah. So I'm deleting that from here just to enforce the application to do go and fetch from the DB. So just to ensure that I'm using stored procedure, and just to making sure that it is working well. Yeah, just continuing this one. See, it works well. So it's working well for the normal login, and it blocks you the SQL injection part. So from a secure code review part or code reviewing area, you can recommend either using prepared statements or a more convenient and centralized way of dealing code using stored procedures. I think I did cover what I planned. Yeah, code review, everything covered. Yeah, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Maybe helpful for someone who is looking into security first time, and you can, if you want to play with the client applications, you can try this. Or else someone, maybe a refreshing stuff for someone who already did this one. There are some more stuff like you just try to explore this by yourself. You can use Wireshark and another tool called Echo Mirage. But Echo Mirage normally it crashes on modern applications, but sometimes it is useful. try to run Wireshark and try to find out what happens when the application is trying to connect to the DB and what happens on the networking side. Those kind, I'm just leaving it to you. I just covered most important part of this area. So that's all for this video. So yeah, SQL injection covered. Yeah, the next thing is, as I said earlier, your my motivation is just a touch or click away. So if you enjoyed this one and if you like it, please do subscribe and stay tuned. I'm creating more videos on security side, more on coding, and I will continue the C# for pen testing. On next video is going to be more fun. We'll be doing more stuff on antivirus bypasses and other stuff. Going to repeat the same thing using Golang, Python, PowerShell, and NIM. So stay tuned and do subscribe and share. That's all for this video. Bye from Alphas.